Things are changing here in the real estate market all over the country, but today I really wanted to focus on the Tampa St. Pete area and talk to you a little bit about some things that I've noticed that are changing, and we're gonna dive into some stats. So is the market softening? Let's dive into it. Let's get started. Hey everybody, I'm Emily. I'm a licensed real estate agent here in the state of Florida, and I live in the Tampa St. Pete area, and this channel is dedicated to all things living, working, playing, sleeping, eating, and especially this nutty real estate market we're all in. So if that resonates with you, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. That really helps me out a lot. And if you have any real estate related questions, or if you need any help on your relocation search coming to Tampa, St. Pete, you need some information, you need a guide, you need a real estate agent, I'm your girl. So hit me up. You can check out my links below. You can send me an email. You can jump on my calendar. You can send me a text. Whatever works for you. I'd love to hear from you. I've been helping lots of people over YouTube. It's been quite fun. So love to hear from you as well. And don't forget, you can always leave me a comment below. I do read them. I do respond as soon as I possibly can. And I take suggestions. So if there's some areas that you would like me to do a video tour of, I'd be happy to do that for you. So I look at this as an interactive experience. I want to know what you guys are interested in, and I will bring you what you need. So let's get to it. I really wanted to dive in a little bit here to the Tampa housing market in 2022. Some things are changing. The summer was really interesting, and we just got our new stats for July. They don't really give us, August. We're kind of like a month or two behind of the stats, but I'm going to give you as much data as I can to help educate you on what is going on and some of the trends and some of the things that I've noticed that's happening, and things that are shifting, and things you just need to be aware of as you're contemplating relocating or you're making your plan to relocate. And again, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll answer any questions I possibly can for you. CoreLogic announced that Florida is ranked #1 in home price gains year over year. So prices have increased 29% compared to July of 2021. So Florida, as everybody knows, is really just on the incline here. We really are just sort of waiting to see if we're going to teeter and level off. There's a little bit of leveling off, and I'm using this word as all of the other people that I am following are using this word, so let's just keep it going. De-acceleration. That's it. We're taking our foot off the gas pedal. That's it. Nothing else has really shifted. So as of August of 2022, our interest rates are sitting anywhere between 5 and 6%, depending on if you're going to do a 15-year or 30-year fixed mortgage loan. So the trend is still like, okay, where are we? Are we going to be seeing another increase anytime soon? None of us have a crystal ball, but some of the articles that I've been reading and the people that I follow, we don't really see much happening. Maybe a couple of tenths of a point here and there, up and down. But I think we're going to stay between that 5 and 6 for a little while. They want to see if it's going to help the economy in any way and keep us from being in a full-on recession. They're saying we're about 50% into, a recession. So I think everybody on the Fed level is trying to do their best to keep that from happening and plummet us into a recession. Who's to say? We're in uncharted territory. COVID really sent us into outer orbits, especially in the real estate market. So as we're looking back, and I'll be talking about some of the data numbers here, they're based on 2019, so that we can see, just how things catapulted out of orbit, so like I keep saying, with the Tampa housing market. In this Forbes article, it states, for mortgage rates, we're likely to see upwards pressure with much less intensity. Mortgage rates are currently near 5.5%, and I expect them to hover around 5.5% and 6% between now and the end of 2022. So everybody's got their eye on the ball. We're all watching to see what happens. So keep that in mind when you're looking to purchase and in your timeline. Let's talk about the stats in Tampa as of July. New listings are down about 5.3%. So if we look at the data from July of 22 compared to July of 2021, we see that new listings are down 1%. Active listings are up 95%. and pending sales are down 24%. So the increase in supply and decrease in contracts from this time last year is significantly different. So we're still seeing a little bit of price drop, but far more price reductions than this time last year. Last year, it was just crazy. So we're only seeing about a 5% decrease right now. Once, we get through these summer numbers with our stats, we're gonna have better figures to show in the fall. But right now, we're not seeing huge decreases, but we're seeing sales prices increase. So it's a wild time. Our numbers are all over the place. But in August, like I said, we're having that price decrease. We're seeing prices decrease by 5%, but it's still more like this game. We're talking about a couple of $1,000s here and there, tens of thousands right here, right? So a house. So what's happening, at least from my perspective, is sellers are wanting to capitalize on the market and get the most out of their home. It happens. I was talking to a real estate friend of mine, and she was selling her house as well. And she was like, "Oh, I could kick myself. I did the same mistake. I tell my clients, I waited and I waited and I waited, and I didn't get as much for my home as I wanted." And she even put it on the market, knowing what she knows. She put it on the market at a higher price, and she goes, "That was the wrong strategy. I should have put it in right where everybody else was, and then allow the bidding to happen." Right? So I think what's happening and what we're starting to see is that sellers are getting nervous that they're going to miss out on capitalizing their gains for this type of market. Secondly, they don't want their house to stay on the market very long. So as soon as it's on the market a week, they get nervous. And our average time on market right now is 8 days. It was 6 days a year ago. So they haven't been staying on the market that long, but it's enough to make people kind of pause. And there's not a lot of people running and jumping and doing all these bidding wars and lines outside the door for showings. I'm just not seeing that anymore. But what we are seeing is that, if a house is priced right, in the right neighborhood, and it's got all the things, you're still going to see people bidding over and over and over again, on top of the next buyer and everything like that. So there's still going to be, I wouldn't say a bidding war, but there's going to be more competition, right? You're not going to see the same contingency offers. Sellers might be willing to give you a couple of concessions here and there. You might be able to ask for some things. So we are shifting a little. It's just so slight though. And it really depends on which property and what area. Again, as I've said in other videos, that 2,000 square feet with upgrades in a great neighborhood is always going to be the one house that everybody wants. It's the purple squirrel that everybody wants. And so, of course, there's going to be competition with that. In certain areas, they're going to, especially in Tampa and St. Pete, certain areas are going to be more competitive than others. So in 2019, we were only seeing about a 5% increase in home prices. And then COVID happened, and then we had to recover from COVID, and then the housing market went cuckoo crazy. And then we saw in 2021 a 19% rise or increase in home prices, and we're still seeing them increase, but just a percent. So we're just right now at about 20% for 2022, and we're almost done with the year. So it's like we were shot out of a cannon, and then we're just sort of hovering a little bit. So there's a lot of talk, and even, my relatives, I go, I hear the prices are going down to Tampa. It's like, well, are they? Were they just not priced right? And you're seeing the decrease? I just don't think there's a huge shift happening just yet. I think the biggest shift we all have to take into consideration is the interest rates, because that's going to significantly price people out of the market, or it's going to change people's budget and trying to figure out what kind of mortgage that they can afford monthly. I think that's the more important thing to kind of pay attention to. The home values are not necessarily decreasing. So Florida has been, I've said this so many times, I don't know who have said it to, but the home values in Tampa and St. Pete in general have always been flying under the national average. And now all of a sudden everybody knows about Tampa. We got Tampa Tom back. Woo! We're so happy. We have all of this great stuff going on. We were open during COVID. We had all of this national, exposure. And I think that because of that, people are like, well, wait a minute, Tampa is, wow, there's no state income tax. They're below the national average when it comes to the cost of living. and you can buy a house on the water for under $1 million. Like, it started to get people's wheels turning, and then people started coming here in droves. And of course that shifts our market. We can't control it. It's just the way it works. So I really don't see, in the people that I follow and the experts that I talk to, we really don't see home values dropping anytime soon. So we are still seeing, you know, a slight increase in prices. And I think what everybody's trying to do is, and the smart listing agents out there are helping with this, is help educate the sellers to not overprice their home. You know, buyers are getting smarter. You buyers out there, you're getting smart. And if you're working with somebody like me, I'll help you as well. We are not going to put an offer in on a house that is not properly evaluated. Like, we want it to appraise appropriately so that we don't have to scurry and come up with that extra cash. So it is important that you know not only what kind of home you want and what neighborhood you want, but how much you think that house is worth. And your agent has to do the work, or I have to do the work for you, to show you the comps in the area so that you understand. You might decide that house isn't worth that rate that they want for it, or the list price that they're putting it at, but that may be what it is now. It's changing the scope of the real estate market so drastically here. It's making people lose their minds. And the people that have been in real estate for 10 and 20 years, they're having to kind of relearn a lot that's going on in the housing market here. We've been like this for so long. I mean, we've had dips like every market does, but as far as home values, we haven't seen this kind of increase since, I don't even know when. If somebody knows, please comment below. So all of this to say, there's still an 85% increase in inventory. But I look at those numbers, I go, but we still only have 2 months of inventory available. In a healthy real estate market, you want 4 to 5 months of inventory, right? So that you don't have this like hot seller's market. It's better if we have a balance, right? Not to mention, let's just throw another wrench into all of this. Our rental prices are outrageous. Our average rent right now is $2,500. We'll let that sink in, because it was not that just like a year or two ago. Let me just pivot for a second and talk about rentals, because I've been working with several of my clients that are looking to purchase in Tampa and having the same issue that a lot of people had this summer and the spring and even last year. It's like you live far away and you're trying to figure out in this crazy hectic market where to land. And it's a lot of money, and you got to choose a neighborhood, and you got to move fast. And that makes people really uncomfortable. And I get it. And so listen, I say that I don't handle rentals, but if you are looking to buy in the next 3, 6, 9 months, even a year, and you need to get here so that we can kind of start investigating some neighborhoods and understanding the market. And when you get here, it's easier to kind of get into the market like anything else, right? So I will help you do that. I've been helping some people do that. And we've had to go some different routes because there are a lot of rental scams going on right now. You have to be really careful. Please be careful who you wire money to or send checks to. Please check them out. Not everybody is above board, sadly. People are taking advantage of people in this market. We know it, we hear it, we understand it. But it can happen to you, and it's been happening to people that I know. And so there are other ways we can go about that. But if you need to get here and you need a good 3-6 months in a rental, the great thing is Tampa and St. Pete, we're a resort town, so you can get seasonal rentals here. You're gonna pay a pretty penny, but if you're looking on Airbnb and you're like, I'm not finding anything, there are seasonal rentals that are managed strictly through property management companies, and I can help you with that. So that's an alternative. But if you're looking for a long-term rental because you think you might wanna be buying, that's not really what I can help you with. But do your due diligence and give yourself some time to get a rental, because it is hard. It is hard to get a rental. It is becoming just as competitive as buying a home. So if you've been a little on the fence about whether you should buy now or you should wait, I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why I don't think you should wait. You have more choices in this current market than you did, say, 6 months ago. There's less competition. There are not as many people, taking contingencies out of their offers. There's not as many of let's waive the inspection contingency, let's waive the appraisal contingency, all these things. Those are now, we're putting those back into place. You now have a little bit more negotiating power. Not a lot, but a little bit. And that is, again, the strategy you need to work with your agent or me about. But now we're seeing sellers being open to FHA loans and VA loans, where before it was cash and conventional. That was it. And anybody else, it was like, hey, you got to wait your turn until this crazy market shifts. But now we're starting to see that sellers are accepting FHA loans and VA loans, so that's a good thing. But interestingly enough, we are also seeing neighborhoods with multiple houses available on the market. So there is more competition within the sellers are having more competition within their neighborhood, or even a block or two away from each other. So that makes buyers calm down a little bit, right? Because they're like, okay, well, if I like this house, I might like that house 2 streets over. Let me see. Is this seller willing to work with me or not? So you're now getting your power back, for lack of a better word, buyers. You have a little bit more power. And again, we can work on your negotiation strategy accordingly. So things in that way are shifting to the positive. So that's pretty much it. I mean, right now we're waiting to see what's going to happen as we go into the fall. But I think, again, we're now getting comfortable with the interest rates where they are. You have to look at your budget and decide if it's going to change, the amount of what you want to spend for a home. There are some lenders that are locking in rates for 90 days. Check that out. That's an option as well. You can also buy down the rate, and that's something we can talk about when we're negotiating as well. And the prices for homes, if you're shopping with me, if you're working with me, we're watching the market. We're watching certain neighborhoods. We're watching prices going up and down. And you start to see, and we work together and kind of study the MLS about, this is a good neighborhood. You start to understand the valuations a little bit better, and it helps you just make your decision a little bit easier when you understand the market from that perspective. So again, working with a licensed professional, boots on the ground in the city that you're looking to relocate to is critical. And making that relationship happen before you get here is also critical. So I always suggest to people, go ahead and reach out to me. I don't care if you're a year out. Let's talk. I have people that are a year, 2, 3 years out. We're still talking. They're watching the market. They're getting themselves prepared. You can still talk to me. I will talk to you. But I can't help you if you don't reach out, and you know what to do. All my contact information is below. If you want a really quick response, a text is best, but you can jump on my calendar or you can call me. And if I don't answer, leave me a message. I promise I'll call you back. Anyway, I also appreciate any of the comments that you leave below. If you've got any questions or if you've got any suggestions or anything like that, please don't hesitate to leave them below. I really appreciate it. And again, you know what to do. Appreciate it if you click the subscribe button and that notification bell, especially if you like this content. I do my best. Listen, I am not a financial wizard, but I try to watch the market like you do, and I try to regurgitate the stats as best I can for you to understand them in a normal, logical way. So I hope I was able to provide that for you today, and I really appreciate you checking out my channel and this content, and I hope you'll come back. And until next time, everyone, have a good one. Bye-bye.